We continue with the door configuration by clicking this icon. The door configuration window is opened, and we can see that the configuration is divided into several tabs. The parameters, which holds general information, the door status timetable, the door access timetable, and the personnel access level. On the left part of the window, we can see the controllers and their doors listed. We mark a certain door that we would like to set its configuration and set the configuration to each one of the doors. We begin with the entry door of controller 1. Here we can see the following parameters: the door name, which we can change, the door type, whether it's a in door only or in-out door, meaning having two readers, door sensor, setting the type of the sensor to be normally open or normally closed, exit button, the same, lock open time, for how many seconds the relay of the door will be opened for a valid card, lock monitor time, for how many seconds we allow the door to be left open, meaning the door sensor will sense if the door is opened or closed. If the door will be open for more than 30 seconds, for example, someone left the door opened, then the Sphinx will alert that there was an event of door was left opened. Read card mode means whether this door is going to use a single card or more than one card which will be needed to open the door, meaning multi-card. If we choose the multi-card, then we can have 2 or more cards, up to 8 cards, enabling the open by the first card feature or not, setting whether we need a pin for this door to be entered, meaning that the reader next to this door should be with a keypad, setting whether we need a threatening pin, meaning that in case of a special threat, then the user can enter a special pin, for example 0000 or 911, which will then create a special event of threatening pin advising that someone is in trouble next to this door. It is also known as Duress pin. Super pin will be a pin where, if entered at the door, will open the door and will save the need for flashing a card. Reader type is actually automatic and will identify any kind of a Wigan reader between 24 bits to 72 bits. The LED polarity sets the light of the LED to be cathode or anode. In Kiking's readers, for some of them it will change the default light from green to red and vice versa. Reading delay and keypad delay can set a minimal delay, expected delay, between 2 cards flashing or 2 pins which are entered. Anti-passback will set the anti-passback mechanism to work, stating here if the anti-passback is enabled or disabled for this door, and if it is enabled, what is the exit area of this door and what is the entry area of this door. We can select or we can set the area names in this window. Clicking default will set the default values in this window. Marking an origin door, clicking copy will mark the door as the copied door, and then clicking paste after marking the destination door will copy the parameters, these parameters, from entry door number 1 to entry door number 2. We can see that for the entry door number 1, the lock monitor time is 30 seconds, while for entry door number 2, the lock monitor time is 25 seconds. Therefore, if we are going to click paste now, it should change the parameters of door number 2 to be like door number 1, changing the lock monitor time from 25 to 30, as we can see. The set all button allows us to set the parameters of entry door number 1 to entry door number 1 of all other controllers. In our case, we have just one other controller, which is the IP controller, and this will copy the parameters of entry door number 1 to entry door number 1 of the IP controller. We click Set All and we confirm the pasting, and we can see that the entry door number 1 lock monitor time has changed also for the IP controller. It is now 25. Please note that for using the Set All, both controllers must be from the same type, meaning, for example, TC348 in this case. The next tab is the door status timetable. It holds 15 different timetables. This allows us to set the status of the door during different periods. For example, if we click Edit Status for the first timetable, we can see here that we have set the door to start from 9 in the morning to be always open. Alternatively, the door can be in a normal status, meaning opened by a valid card, can be in a sleep status, meaning ignoring any card which is flashed to the reader, can be always closed, or can require card plus PIN, or be under anti-passback policy. If we keep it always open, this means that during these days of the week, from 9 in the morning until the next door status timetable, which is 10 in the morning, the door will be always open. Then at 10, the door will go back to normal status. We can use here the paste and the set all buttons as well to save time in repeating configuration. The next tab is the door access timetable. Similar to the door status table, which is setting the status of the door according to different timetables, the door access timetable is also having 15 different timetables, but it is setting the timetables for valid cards. The first default timetable will be the 24 hours timetable. This means that any valid card can enter the door 24 hours a day during all days of the week and all type of holidays. If in our organization we would like to limit the valid cards and their holders to access the doors only during the working hours and working days, then we need to edit the timetables and set the working timetable. For example, we can set the working hours from 9 till 1 p.m. and from 2 p.m. till 6 p.m. This means that our staff, our cardholders, can access this door using a valid card only from 9 in the morning until 1 p.m. and after lunch break from 2 p.m. until 6 p.m. And this can be done only during the working days, not on weekends and not during holidays. The next tab will be the personnel access level. In here we can see which personnel, which staff, which cardholders can access the entry door number 1. We can see the details of the personnel, and we can see during which timetable this personnel can access the door, meaning during what time, days and hours as defined previously this personnel will be able to access the door. At the moment, John Smith cannot access this door since the timetable is set to the default no entry timetable, which means an empty timetable. We can right click on the timetable column and then select the working timetable, which we have just defined previously. This means that Mr. John Smith will be able to enter the entry door number 1 from 9 in the morning till 1 p.m. and then from 2 p.m. until 6 p.m. Now we have finished setting up all the parameters and all the configuration for this specific entry door. We could have used the button set all and paste in order to save some time and set the configuration faster. We can do the same also for the different doors. Once we have finished configuring a certain door, we can copy all of its configurations, meaning all of its tabs content, to the other doors by using copy and paste similarly described, and by using set all, which will copy the entire door configuration to the other doors in the other controllers of the same type. For example, the same entry door number 1. We continue now to the next icon.